in the Circuit Court of Taney County, Missouri. 288,650,143,861. Rory K. Smith and Janet Smith. Plaintiff. Case No. Hash 2046 CC00181. Versus Darrell L. McClanahan, April Miller, and Ronald Raymond. Defendants. Motion to reopen judgment. Pursuant to Supreme Court Rule 74.06. Comes now, defendants Darrell McClanahan and April Miller, pro se, pursuant to Missouri Supreme Court Rule 74.06, and moves this court to reopen the above-styled cause, due to fraud upon the court, and in support of said motion states as follows. That on February 1, 2021, the court entered judgment against defendants McClanahan and Miller, and the judgment rendered was irregular and void in that it failed to consider the liability of the party of the first part, owner of the real estate in question, Defendant Ronald Raymond. That the plaintiffs in the above-styled cause admitted in their petition for relief that Defendant Ronald Raymond is the owner of the real estate giving rise to the dispute upon which the judgment in this case is based. Defendants claim that it is tantamount to fraud upon the court for the plaintiffs to recover damages from defendants McClanahan and Miller, yet absolve the lawful owner of the property from liability, when it was the owner, Defendant Raymond, that concealed the material facts from defendants McClanahan and Miller regarding the property line and fence, etc., which gave rise to the legal dispute in the above-styled cause. E.g., Defendant Raymond failed to disclose in the lease purchase agreement that the home's deck was built upon the property line. That it was the actions and inactions of Defendant Raymond that precipitated defendants' unknowing trespass onto plaintiff's property. Thus, completely negating the essential legal elements of purposefully and/or knowingly trespassing, in regard to the tortuous actions plaintiffs claimed defendants committed. Had Defendant Raymond acted in such a reasonable manner in leasing his property to defendants McClanahan and Miller that it could excuse said defendants from liability for damages. That is, the reasonable man standard when applied as an objective test, showing that defendants' mistakes regarding the property line were reasonable, under the circumstances, negating the payment as ordered and shifting such liability to Defendant Raymond. Defendants McClanahan and Miller remain under liability as they are currently making monthly payments pursuant to a garnishment order issued by this court, in the above-styled cause. The judgment in the above-styled cause was procured by extrinsic fraud. In that Defendant Raymond took intentional efforts to conceal the property line issue from defendants McClanahan and Miller and further concealed his folly during the discovery stage of the above-styled cause, so as to deprive said defendants of viable defense to the charges against them. Wherein, Defendant McClanahan and Miller would be able to show they acted in a reasonable manner, which would exclude them from some if not all monetary liability in the claims being litigated. If granted a hearing to reopen the above-styled cause, defendants intend to show that they acted at all times material and relevant therein, meeting the reasonable man test that sets the standard for imposing liability in such cases, thus either reducing or eliminating the monetary judgment that has been entered in this case. That defendants claim that an evidentiary hearing should be allowed, in the above-styled cause, in order to preserve defendants' protected rights to reasonable access to the courts and due process of law as provided by the First and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution. The doctrine of custom and usage allowed defendants to presume their alleged trespass would not offend anyone. This longtime allowance of this property line is undisputed and for the common usage negated the intention or negligence required to find liability for damages against defendants. The plaintiffs admit to the granting of this custom and usage, on behalf of the defendants, in their original petition, in the above styled cause, see page 417. Because the court did not impose or absolve monetary liability in regard to Defendant Raymond as an indispensable party, the judgment in the above styled cause should be void as a matter of law. That the finding of non-liability on behalf of Defendant Raymond was based solely on speculation, conjecture, and presumption and is not allowed by law. The court cannot provide the missing evidence of Defendant Raymond's liability. Wherefore, defendants pray that this honorable court order an evidentiary hearing, in the above styled cause, in order to determine if the judgment was procured through the use of extrinsic fraud, and further prays the court issue an order temporarily suspending the garnishment of defendants' wages, until this matter is resolved or by further order of the court, and for whatever other relief the court deems necessary. Respectfully submitted. Date, blank. Blank. Darrell McClanahan. Blank. April Miller McClanahan. Certificate of Service. I herein certify that I have placed a true and correct copy of the above and foregoing, in the U.S. mail, postage prepaid, this ___ day of February 2022, to Law Office of Attorney of Record for Plaintiffs. Address.